We live in a really visual world, and somehow the visual standards are not met. Hey guys, welcome to Still Wednesdays, a new series on still moving. The word still from still moving stands for still images and moving images. So Still Wednesdays will be about photography. Because we're at the beginning of the series, we are going to discuss about really basic features and tips and tricks and all sorts of amateur photography procedures. We live in a really visual world, and somehow the visual standards are not met in any way. And I would love for everyone to have the curiosity and the courage to just download an app and play around with it, whether it's for the purpose of representing yourself, the purpose of having another tool to help you in your business, or just to, respect your memories. Once you become a bit more curious and a bit more serious about, good photography, the next step after you've taken the photo is how to edit it. I'm a true believer that the best camera in the world is the one you've always got on you, which makes the phone the best camera you've probably have around at all times. So obviously the phone also becomes a really powerful editing tool, which is no news really. Personally, I got to the stage where even if I take a photo just to post it on a story, which goes away in 24 hours, I still put it through an app because I want to give it a certain mood and to control how the image looks like. I do have many of them downloaded. I haven't even tried all of them, but consistently these are the two apps that I've used the most. As you can see, the first one is Snapseed, which is the oldest one that I've been using, yet the one that I use currently the most is Lightroom. Lightroom is from Adobe. So Lightroom is my desktop software for editing client work or doing more professional work. And I absolutely adore that I have a version of it, a really good version of it, as an app on my phone at all times. The rest of the apps I haven't really used that much. I'm going to be talking about Snapseed in a separate video, but today let's talk about Lightroom. Normally what I do in my images after I take thousands and thousands of images, I rate them and I set my favorites. So this is my favorites folder, and let's edit this one. So what you can do is either open the app and import the image, or go to the desired photo, share to Lightroom. This imports it. As you can see at the top, it says Lightroom for Samsung. I'm actually editing on a Huawei phone, but I suppose the app was developed for Samsung initially. Now we're going in the images, it sorts them by year. This, as you can see, these are the images that I've been holding in the app for editing or that are edited. This is the image that we're going to be working on today. As a quick introduction, you can see that you've got all the menus at the bottom. The one that have the blue star next to them mean that you need to purchase a premium feature and you need to pay for the app. Now, because I use Snapseed, where I've got all the features that I need to pay for Lightroom Mobile, then I chose not to pay for Lightroom on my phone. Now, I'm not sure if this makes me cheap or not in any way. I don't mind using both of the apps, even if it potentially slows me down a little bit. Still, it's in phone edit, so I shouldn't be in any rush. If I feel the pressure, or if I feel that these tools are not enough, what the app provides me, then I go to my desktop and I use the actual software and I do a much more detailed edit. So the selective and the healing options need to be paid for. Obviously, then you've got crop with all the features. Then you've got profiles. Profiles I've just discovered recently, to be honest. I haven't been very curious about this one. Are some filters provided by Lightroom that you can use, but I tend not to use them. Then you've got the auto feature, which when you click it, it kind of does. I'm not sure if you saw that. So if you press the image down, it shows you the before and after at all times. It hasn't done much, but because I want to undo the auto, I go all the way at the end, reset, and I'm going to reset it to open. So this is how the image was when I've opened it. Then you've got light. Now this menu has a lot of light features, so everywhere from exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, and everything else. But then you can go into curves, which is another way. You've got the light curves, and then you've got the RGB curves. RGB stands for red, green, and blue. Basically, this is where you can play with the light in a more specific way than the previous dials allow you to. And also you get to play with the light in the red. So you get to play with the highlights, the red highlights, or the shadows, and you can do that in the green and in the blue as well. Obviously, the curves are more subtle adjustments to be made. Again, I'm going to go all the way back, reset to open. This was my image at the beginning. One of my favorite menus is the color. So without installing any further presets or without using any other filters, this color menu is really insightful because you know, you've got all the temperature, the tint, vibrance, the saturation. Then you've got a menu for black and white, but it's quite an intricate black and white because it's not just a simple filter that you add on top. I'm not sure if you know this, but the information retained in the color channels affects how the black and white image is going to look. So you've probably noticed that all colors don't look the same in black and white. So purple has a certain tone to it, green has a certain tone to it. So you can, why am I talking about this? I might as well show you. So when I go to black and white and then I go to mix, I can play around with the luminance, with the light in the red channel. So red channel is found in my skin, the photo. So see, I've turned myself all the way dark or like ghostish white. I'm gonna undo that. Then there was quite a bit of green in the photo, see, so I can like darken it but I don't want to play with black and white now. What I wanna do is I wanna go into the mix. The color mix menu has the HSL feature, which is one of my favorite ones. As you can see, HSL stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. So on every color channel, let's go on green because I feel like it's somehow predominant in the image. I've got the hue, the saturation, and the luminance. Now, the hue changes the color to the closest one in the color spectrum. Every color is sort of placed in between the two colors. It's coming either from one way and it's going from another way. So you see the yellow color is on the left and the cyan is on the right. So basically the green being in between these two colors, the hue allows me to turn it. So basically I use the hue when I want to turn summer into autumn. And then see, I made the leaves go, well, dead. But sometimes, for example, one of my pet peeves is having yellow in photos. I just don't know, for some reason. Yellow tends to bother me sometimes, not that much in this image, but what I used to do is go into Lightroom, open yellow and turn the saturation all the way down. So if you tap on the image and hold it, it shows you what I've done. And then obviously you've got the light, how much light you've got in that color. So only with this adjustment by itself, you can do quite a lot of correction and make the image look quite more creative. Then you've got some effects. You can, add, this is another beautiful example because you can add texture, which is a very, very fine sort of sharpness to it. And then you've got clarity. Now, in this image, it doesn't bother me that much, but normally clarity for me is a big no-no when it comes to skin, because clarity sort of adds, it almost like it darkens some pixels. So for example, if I use it on the skin, in my pores, it's gonna add like black grains and it's going to give me a very old look to it. However, clarity works really well in other textures rather than skin. So can you see the stairs that I'm sitting on in this image? Like, see how they like come to life? You can really feel the texture of it on like on brick, on buildings, on everything very textured. It brings it out really nicely, but it also darkens it a bit, so be mindful of that. Dehaze, vignetting, all sorts of grain. And then you've got details, you've got further sharpening, and then you've got one of my other favorite features, which is best for portraits, to be honest. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see in this image because it's taken on a wide lens. You've got the noise reduction feature. So when you download this app, because you should download this app, I'm not sponsored for this, by the way. The noise reduction does wonders on skin. It just kind of blends in the pixels so well. It just, even if you're not wearing any makeup, it kind of makes you look like you've got a really good skin day or really good makeup or a really good blend. Some of these menus, when you see that they're grayed out, they get activated when you activate the effect on it. So see, now they're all done. Then you've got the optics. Every camera has a certain lens distortion where, it does weird things. It rounds the corners or when you take a photo of a building, the edges or the lines become really wonky and really curved, or it does a chromatic aberration, which you can mostly see in images with really bright sunlight. So this helps with the chromatic aberration. The geometry and the perspective, you need to pay for it, as you see. So just as the image shows what I was saying about photographing buildings earlier, it helps you straighten angles if you've taken images from a side of the building. I think this is a really good example for buildings specifically, or for architecture. So if you want to adjust lines, to straighten angles, but do it like corner by corner as opposed to doing an entire image at a time, you need to pay for this feature. Then you've got the magic one, which is presets. Now, I'm not sure when you open this, I think it goes into defaults. So if you've just installed the app and you've never used presets, I think it takes you to default, which you can have a play with all of them. I go to user presets where I imported all of mine, and these are my favorite and all of my presets. We're going to discuss about them in the next episode. I'm gonna go with brown gold because this is, I think, probably my all-time favorite preset. And it made the image go from this to this, which is very moody, it's very different. It's one of those unrealistic filters when it comes to color, because the leaves are never going to be in that shade, they're sort of grayed out. I like cold toned images more. This is a warm one, but I really like it. I feel like it makes every image look like dark chocolate. Presets is a space where you can play a lot. Let me tell you, it's really hard finding a good preset. What's good about it is that you can go back into the menus and it shows you what the preset has made for you, so you can correct, add, or change what you don't see fit. So see what I was saying before, this also removed all the yellow, although it kept the image warm. Now after presets, the last menus are about restoring, like you can save different versions of the image, or you can go all the way back and reset the adjustments, or undo everything that you've done. However, if you're happy with the image, you can go at the top. And what I do is I export as. And I save it as a JPEG, largest available dimensions, quality 100%, and it's got more options. It just gives you some really good options, and I feel like as opposed to other apps, the compression isn't the worst. It keeps the quality of the image as much, depending on how high the quality of the image is to begin with. So that's why I was saying that I do feel comfortable to export an image from Lightroom after I'm happy with the colors, and then if needed to potentially go to another app and maybe to Snapseed and remove something if I'm bothered by it. I clicked OK, now it's exporting the image and the photo is ready to go. Once you've imported an image into Lightroom, if you go back, it's just gonna keep the image there, and then you export it, and yes, you use the exported image. However, unless you go and delete an image from the catalog, it's just going to stay there. So be mindful that this app might end up taking a lot of your space, and once you've deleted the image, you need to go to the deleted folder as well, because it's going to keep it there otherwise for 60 days. This would be a fantastic time for you to subscribe. This is a bit high up, isn't it? Yes, it is. I filmed this video once before and I left way too much space above my head, and I cannot live with that. So this is take 2. Second